Some of the smartest men you know will never be rich. Not because they are lazy, not because they lack discipline, and not because they didn't try hard enough. They did everything they were told. They studied, they listened, they followed instructions, they were early, they were prepared, they were reliable. And yet, they stayed exactly where they started, quietly. No collapse, no dramatic failure, no public shame. Just a slow realization that the world did not respond to their intelligence the way they were promised it would. They watched less intelligent men move ahead, not louder men, not better men, just men who fit, men who aligned, men who didn't question the structure they were placed inside. This is the part no one talks about, because intelligence feels sacred. It feels personal. It feels unfair to admit that it might not be the deciding factor. But look around. Look carefully. Who actually gets rewarded? Is it the man who sees further, or the man who stays within the lines? Is it the man who thinks independently, or the man who can be trusted to repeat the same behavior tomorrow? Money does not panic. Money does not improvise. Money avoids uncertainty, and intelligence, by its nature, creates uncertainty. It asks questions. It challenges assumptions. It notices inefficiencies. But systems don't reward disruption by default. They reward predictability. This is why so many intelligent men feel confused. They were told the world rewards brilliance, but the world keeps rewarding compliance. And the more they notice this gap, the quieter they become. They don't rebel. They don't quit. They don't complain. They just work harder, inside rules that were never designed to reward them. This is not a story about failure. This is a story about alignment. And until you understand that, money will never make sense. From the beginning, the message was simple. Be smart, do well, and the system will take care of you. School reinforced it. The smartest students were praised. The most obedient students were rewarded. You learned very early that intelligence was safe, as long as it stayed useful, as long as it didn't challenge authority, as long as it didn't slow things down, as long as it produced the expected result. Over time, intelligence became conditional. You could think, but only within approved boundaries. You could question, but only after permission was given. You could improve things, but never in ways that disrupted the structure. This belief followed men into adulthood. Work harder, get better, be valuable. And value slowly became defined as how well you fit, not how deeply you understood. This is where the confusion begins, because intelligence does create value, just not the kind most systems are built to reward. Systems reward reliability, consistency, obedience to process. They do not reward independent thought unless it is already sanctioned. This isn't a conspiracy, it's design. A system cannot function if every intelligent person inside it constantly questions its foundation. So intelligence is filtered, it is shaped, it is narrowed, and eventually it is repurposed. This is where a man like Henry Ford becomes interesting. Ford did not build wealth because he was simply intelligent. Plenty of intelligent men existed before him. He built wealth because he understood something deeper. Systems reward alignment before brilliance. He didn't try to make every worker smarter. He designed a system where behavior was predictable, repeatable, scalable. The intelligence was not in the worker, it was embedded in the structure. That is the part most men miss. They try to win inside a system by becoming personally exceptional. But systems don't scale exceptions. They scale patterns. This is why intelligence alone feels invisible. It doesn't attach itself to leverage. It doesn't automatically multiply. It often stays trapped at the individual level, where effort increases, but impact doesn't. So men push harder. They learn more. They optimize themselves. But the system stays the same, and the rewards stay limited. Because money does not reward who you are. It rewards how well your behavior fits into a mechanism that already exists. This is the uncomfortable truth, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. At some point, every intelligent man notices it. Two people, same education, same hours, same effort, but very different outcomes. One moves forward, the other stays put. And the difference is never intelligence. It's rarely talent. It's rarely discipline. It's something quieter. One man asks, why? The other asks, what's next? One sees inefficiency and points it out. The other sees inefficiency and adapts around it. One challenges the rules. The other memorizes them. This is where intelligence begins to work against itself. Because intelligence sees flaws, and flaws make systems nervous. A system doesn't reward the man who exposes its weaknesses. It rewards the man who makes it run smoothly despite them. This is why so many intelligent men plateau. They reach a ceiling not defined by skill, but by tolerance. They are tolerated until they become inconvenient. They notice this, but they rarely say it out loud. Because the moment you question the system, you risk being labeled difficult. Not wrong, not ineffective, just difficult. And difficulty is expensive. Money prefers smooth surfaces. It prefers predictability. It prefers behavior that can be forecast. This is where obedience quietly outperforms intelligence. Not blind obedience, not stupidity, but behavioral alignment. The kind that doesn't resist, doesn't improvise, doesn't deviate. This is not an insult. It's a design principle. And once you understand that, you stop taking it personally. You realize the system is not judging your mind. It's evaluating your reliability. This is why intelligence feels unrewarded. Because intelligence introduces variables, and variables slow systems down. Systems don't think like humans. They don't admire effort. They don't care about intention. They don't respect potential. They measure outcomes. More specifically, they measure consistency of outcomes. This is where most men misunderstand how money flows. Money follows systems that can be scaled, and scale requires sameness, repeatability, control. This is why Ford's factories mattered, not because the work was brilliant, but because it was predictable. Each movement was designed to be repeated. Each task reduced uncertainty. The intelligence wasn't demanded from the worker. It was extracted from the process. That's why it worked. That's why it multiplied. And that's why it made money. This is the part that feels uncomfortable to accept, because it suggests something most men don't want to hear. Your intelligence is valuable, but only when it serves a structure that already exists. On its own, intelligence creates friction. It questions, it optimizes, it resists inefficiency. But systems don't reward resistance. They reward alignment. This is why obedience isn't stupidity. It's strategy, when the goal is stability. And money values stability more than brilliance, because brilliance is rare, but stability is profitable. So the system selects for behavior that keeps it running, on time, on script, without surprises. This doesn't mean the system hates intelligence. It means it fears unpredictability, and intelligence is unpredictable. This is why men who follow the rules often rise faster than men who understand them. Understanding creates hesitation. Following creates momentum. And momentum looks like progress. But momentum without control leads somewhere specific. It leads exactly where the system was designed to take you. No further, no wider, just forward, inside the lane. At some point, a man has to face a difficult question. Not a motivational one, not a hopeful one, an honest one. What exactly is money rewarding? Because if it were intelligence, the smartest people would dominate every system. If it were effort, the hardest workers would control the most resources. But that's not what we see. What money consistently rewards is reliability at scale. Not creativity, not depth, not originality. Reliability. The ability to produce the same outcome again and again and again without disruption. This is why obedience is misunderstood. Obedience is not submission. It is predictability. And predictability is gold. When a system knows how you will behave tomorrow, it can build around you. It can plan. It can expand. It can borrow against the future. This is where intelligence quietly loses. Because intelligence adapts. It questions. It changes its mind when new information appears. And systems don't like that. They don't like moving targets. They like men whose behavior can be modeled, timed, and replaced if necessary. This is the brutal clarity most men avoid. Money does not ask, "How smart are you?" It asks, "How consistent is your output? How controllable is your behavior? How expensive is it if you leave?" This is why so many men become valuable but not powerful. They are excellent at what they do. They are trusted. They are depended on. And that dependence traps them. Because the more reliable you are inside a system you don't control, the harder it becomes to step outside it. This is the quiet exchange no one warns you about. You trade unpredictability for security. You trade independence for approval. You trade potential for position. And the system rewards you for it. Regular pay, stability, predictable growth, but never control. This is where Ford's thinking becomes unsettling. He understood that the most profitable system is not the one with the smartest individuals. It's the one where individual intelligence becomes irrelevant, where the process is so refined that behavior matters more than thought. That's not an accident. That's leverage. And leverage is what money responds to. This is where it becomes personal, not emotional, personal. Ask yourself something simple. If you stopped showing up tomorrow, what would really happen? Would the system pause? Or would someone else be trained to repeat your behavior? Not your ideas, not your insights, your behavior. This is the difference most men never articulate. They confuse being needed with being irreplaceable. The system needs many people. It protects very few. And it protects only what it cannot easily replace. This is why intelligence alone feels powerless. Because intelligence that lives only inside your head creates no dependency, no leverage, no negotiation power. The system appreciates you, but it does not fear losing you. And what isn't feared is never truly rewarded. This realization hurts because it forces a man to confront something uncomfortable. He didn't fail. He didn't fall short. He played the role correctly. Too correctly. He optimized himself for a position that was never meant to expand. This is why the frustration feels so quiet. There's no enemy to fight, no mistake to correct. Just a growing sense that the ceiling is closer than expected. That no matter how much better you become, the rewards remain proportional, linear, controlled. This is not injustice. It's structure. And structure doesn't care how much you understand it, only how well you function inside it. Here is the part that changes everything. Money does not reward intelligence. It does not reward effort. It rewards alignment with leverage. And leverage does not come from working harder. It comes from control. control over outcomes, control over systems, control over direction. This is why income is a misleading signal. Income feels like progress, but income without control is just permission to stay. Most men never question this because questioning it is destabilizing, and stability feels safer than truth. But safety and growth rarely coexist. In the next video, we won't talk about money itself. We'll talk about the difference between income and control. Because once you see that difference, you can never confuse them again.